Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Game of Africa graduation ceremony. Um, I hope you can all hear me. Do give us a wave on the chat if you can, just to make sure that we are properly synced. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys today to celebrate the end of the Game of Africa Bootcamp. This has been an amazing 5 month experience where we've taken on some really talented individuals and put them through the process of developing or understanding the fundamentals of developing games and developing their first few games. So about this time, 2019, okay, actually, let me start with an introduction. My name is Hugo Obi. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the founder of Malio Games. Malio Games is a Lagos-based gaming studio that builds free-to-play African-inspired games for mobile. We've been around since 2012, and we have games like Mosquito Smasher, Abuki Run, What King, and more recently developing a game called Dam for Racer. So around this time in 2012, like I realized that we still had a talent shortage. When we want to hire game developers within the studio, we faced challenges in finding individuals that were competent enough and had a very strong understanding of game development. Because we've been building games for a while, we had a very good understanding of the process of developing these games. And we wanted to create a platform or create a system whereby we could take individuals who are passionate and interested in game development and putting them through a structured training program and using that as a pipeline for hiring talent into the company in the future. Um, Fast forward to 2021, we partnered with Google to launch Game Up Africa, which is really a program designed to accelerate the development of gaming within Africa by providing structured training for individuals who are passionate about developing games, and at the end of that, giving them the capacity and capability to develop their first game. Um, Today, we are very honored to have some exciting individuals who are going to be joining us and sharing their own knowledge and experiences about the gaming industry and what they're doing within the gaming industry. But most of today is actually going to be about the individuals who are coming through this program. You would get an opportunity to see, first of all, hear stories about some of the individuals who hopefully are in the on the live stream, but you get to hear some of their stories around what Game of Africa means to them and what they've been able to learn through the program. We would also be sharing some of the games that came out from the program. So we've put together a nice little show reel for you. And then we would have a great opportunity to actually have conversations with some of the pioneers for gaming within Africa and the rest of the world. So we look forward to kind of like having conversations around what are the pathways and why is gaming so important for us. And then there is obviously, we're going to be recognizing some of the outstanding achievements from the program with the Game of Africa Awards, recognizing outstanding individuals and teams that have been really steadfast in terms of their contribution to the program. One of the core components of this program is building a strong community, and this is reflected in our recognition of the individuals who've been really central to making this program work, from a participation standpoint. And then finally, we'll end with a closing note from our partners, Google, as a way to kind of like wrap up the day. But like that's kind of like what the agenda for today is about. For me, like I'm incredibly thrilled. When we launched this program back in June this year, or when we opened the application in June, July, and took on the first set of participants, we did not anticipate the level of commitment, the amount of creativity, and the sheer technical competence that the program was going to be able to deliver. And this is really a testament to all of you. Hopefully, most of you are on the call. But this is a testament to the amount of dedication and time that you guys have spent. We kept pushing you guys at every single stage, most especially towards the latter stages of the program when you are working on your personal projects. Myself and my team were constantly pushing you to, to do improvements, to make changes to your games, and you took those feedbacks on, and you were really able to kind of like apply those feedbacks, which is really, really, really important for game development. So, a lot of credit to you individually for just really, really being dedicated, and congratulations for making it this far. This is the start of your journey. We are obviously very honored to have been able to bring you to this point. And we look forward to obviously working with you in the next couple of weeks and months to come, to kind of like help accelerate your growth, and to really, redefine, or at least define, not even redefine, to define gaming in Africa. So congratulations on making it this far, and thank you very much for joining us today. So it's a real pleasure for me to introduce our next guest, who will be offering our keynote. So Segi is someone who I've been a huge fan of, like a real inspiration to myself personally. Over the last couple of years, I've been looking at what Crazy Labs has been doing and learning from them. And it's a real honor to have him today to talk to the community and to share his vision, tell us a little bit about Crazy Labs and share his vision for gaming in Africa. Segi, please take the floor.
Thank you very much, Hugo. It's an honor to be here and to do the keynote, real honor. I strongly believe in these bootstraps and these accelerator programs, motivating and moving ecosystems and whole evolutionizing different industries. I want to tell you a little bit about Crazy Labs. So we started 11 or 12 years ago as Tabtel. And when we started in Israel, gaming culture wasn't in existence. So we didn't have almost any gaming companies. We had some social casino and some real casino. But if you wanted to look for a game designer with experience, you needed to go to Europe or to Canada or to the US. If you wanted a developer, you needed who knows how to do games. You also needed to go somewhere else. So when we started the company and we wanted to engage in that, there was almost nothing there. There were a few other people like us that just started, because gaming is amazingly interesting. It's a place where you wake up in the morning and you go and do a new game, and you go and you do something new, and you're just excited about what you're doing. It's so creative, it's so fun, it really energizes you. So when we started, we were pioneers in Israel. So we made obviously a huge amount of mistakes, and we had to learn from everyone around us and to reinvent ourselves all the time and to evolve actually faster than the others, because we knew a lot less than them. So the first year was really tough. We got our first people that had no prior knowledge, and we started little by little uploading things to the store, succeeding some, failing some, but it's an all iterative process. And I think in gaming, the great thing in gaming and in B2C, where you have the Google Play and the iOS store, it's amazing because once you have a product, and in many cases, it doesn't take long. For example, in hyper casual, you can know within 2 weeks in many cases. You know the first thing, whether it has an audience or not. And this is an amazing thing, because before I was 14 years doing insurtech, B2B, so selling to big insurance companies, the product that I developed, and it took 3 years to develop the product, and maybe then two additional years just to know if someone is interested at all in buying it. So it's an amazing change and an amazing economy to be in. So the first year was really hard for us when we created the company. Hard to find people, hard to train them, hard to even know if we know anything, if we can compete. And every time we knew that when we uploaded something to the store, we got a little bit higher. We were still not noticeable. We were still long from different from high success and from monetizing, but we saw that we have constant improvement, and each time we got better and we got more stubborn. And I think for us it was key. Two things were key to trying to be successful. One is we were not afraid to make changes because this is a super dynamic industry. It changes constantly. If it's external forces like the stores or the ad networks or users or regulation or whatever. But competition is also very smart people, very smart companies are out there trying to entertain people and to do a really great job. So on a weekly basis, we used to try and think, what are we doing good and what are we, where we need to improve. And especially when we were very small, only a few employees, only a few team members, this is the strongest thing for a small organization. We were not afraid to make changes. So I still remember in the first year, we actually started doing interactive books and interactive greeting cards, and both of them failed. And then we evolved, but we did some good things. So we evolved the team into games, and then we found how to monetize in games, and then we found how to do additional type of games, and then how to market games. So each step of the way was harder. At certain point when we became bigger and we could hire talents and bring more knowledge from other places, then we've done that and we've jumped a little bit, but it's always a challenge. It's always something that you have to go to a distance, but it's fun every day. All of the team members are coming to work with a smile, or we tell them, stay home today, because gaming is fun, is creative. You're creating someone that people want to play, and when it succeeds, and obviously there are a lot of games that don't succeed to reach audience, but when it succeeds, when you boom on a game, and I remember our first success was Christmas Tale, which was an interactive book, and it went viral, and it got on iPads to being #1 on iOS in Christmas in the books category, and #3 in overall. It creates a huge amount of pride and visibility, and it keeps you going. So this long journey that we have been doing for now over 10 years got us to an amazing milestone. We have now a cumulative 5 billion downloads. We are finishing this year with around 1.2 billion downloads, which means every month we generate 100 million downloads. So tens of millions of people are playing our games, are touched by our games, by our messages. So and I think it's great pride. And beyond that, we have an amazing team that we've built, which spans across many continents. We have teams in Israel and in China and in Europe, in different places. And we have a hub in South Africa, and we have our hubs program in which we try and work with developers at their early stage and bring them and help them to become professional developers that can upload hyper casual games that can reach high volume success. And we saw many people that change their life, that gets something, a profession, and even beyond profession, success, both professional with huge pride, but also economical. It's not magic. A lot of it is hard work and might take time, might even take long time. But this is something which is an amazing opportunity because it doesn't take a lot of effort to get started. There is iterative ways on how to load, how to improve, a lot of resources, a lot of great mentors and companies like Google willing to help and support such programs, which I think is amazing. We're also a company that likes supporting programs and helping transition in different areas where you need to kind of move things along, like we had it in the beginning in Israel. And for us, this is very inspiring. You are very inspiring, and it's touching to see how maybe from you, because at the end of the story, so we've been around for 10, 12 years. Now in Israel, there is a booming gaming economy that has companies that are that are selling many games for tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. And all of the people in this ecosystem, it started from the first companies, and then people from these first companies, after they had a few games, so some of them left us and some of others joined, and then they created more companies and more companies, and it created a whole ecosystem. And the ecosystem now in Israel is a really great and evolving ecosystem. So you can be the roots for an amazing ecosystem, and it's really great and inspiring to be now talking to you with the first step that you're taking. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and don't forget that it's hard to succeed. It's sometimes it's challenging, and it's not cliche to know how to fail and to learn from it. And sometimes it's better to fail early on something that cannot succeed, not to get emotionally attached to something, and continue on trying and trying and trying. So this is the best advice I can give you. But for the stubborn, resilient ones, success will probably await along the way. So thank you, everyone. And if you have, I don't know, any questions or
Yeah, thank you so very much, Sayed. That was a really, really, really inspiring talk. And like as I mentioned earlier, I find the story of your company really, really inspiring, because the environment that you operate within, it isn't too far from the one that we operate within, and the market that you're going for is one that is outside of your primary market.
yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. You hear me?
Yeah, there's a bit of lag on the call. I'm not too sure where that is coming from. Can you hear me properly? No. So you're completely mute now. I don't know if that's just from my end. Yeah, maybe your ear pods are still connected. Now you're mute, so I think you need to unmute.
Okay. Now I think it's okay.
Yes, yes, it is. Some technical glitch. So I really want to see how much advice you can give to us as a developing ecosystem. This is really the foundational. So I was giving you some bit of context, behind the scenes before we came live, and for me, I think that the objective for most of us within the industry is to see an industry that is successful, right? And for us to see a successful industry, we need to have high quality content that obviously can monetize. And before we get to that point, we need to have talent that can actually build. And this is the journey that you guys have gone through. So, what do you think are the pieces that we should be thinking about putting in place to enable us to get to that point, maybe in 2 or 3 years' time?
I think that when you look at the whole ecosystem, it's education and money, infrastructure, investing in, because gaming is not only about the product side, it's also as much on the marketing side. And for marketing, you need sometimes money, you need always money, but you need creative talent and marketing talent, and also understanding a completely different market that sometimes is not your home market. So for example, for us, 50% of our revenue is coming from the US. And by the way, when we went in the beginning to raise money for our company, Israeli investors told us, look, we are not going to invest in you. That was 2009, 2010. They said Israelis are really great on doing technology stuff and B2B, but we don't believe in you delivering content to people in America, because you're not American. You will not be able to crack that. And by the way, we proved it wrong, but it was complicated. So for example, we aided in the beginning with people from the US in some of the content, and with marketing people. And by the way, you partner also with Google, so Google has a lot to offer in terms of resources and marketing resources and other networks. So I think for a whole ecosystem, you need at least one company to succeed in all of the pieces, or a few companies to start doing at least one component really, really good. Let's say all of the production of the game, and then find other publishers, and then maybe one do the publisher, understand what is going well, then maybe the other do themselves as they get more money and are able to invest in it themselves. And I think the other thing is not be afraid to respond, because from the beginning we created the company in 2010, and already in 2011 we had small percent of the team not from Israel, especially because we understood that a lot of pieces are missing in Israel. So if we kept everyone in Israel only, we wouldn't have been able to evolve. But on the other side, we couldn't hire very expensive people, so we went to at the beginning to East Europe, where it was more economical for us, and to different places where we could find talent that has experience, but at an economy level that was good for us. So I think that it's about first understanding that there are two main pieces: all the product side, which is art, animation, game design, game level design, QA, development. So this is all part of the production. And then there is an equal and important part of marketing, which is who do you market, what is the audience, what videos will you show them, how to make this, where to publish it, how to get the users. Uh, so so uh, so to have success, you need to have all of this cycle, and underneath very strong infrastructure of data and analytics. So you need to see what you have, try to borrow what you don't have until you get bigger and bigger, and then you add it yourself. So this is at least how we did it, step by step.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you very much for that. Um, I do have, and the audience, if you have a question, just put your question in the chat and we'll try and bring it in. I believe we have Segi for another 7 minutes, so we'll try and maximize our time. I do have another question for you, which is more for our community. I was just wondering, for a young developer or for this young developer community, what advice would you give to them as they start to develop their career? You've worked with a vast amount of talent. You know, you've outsourced talent from Eastern Europe. You've had talent developed internally. You have a talent program through Crazy Hub that is running in multiple countries, including South Africa right now. What is your advice for sort of like these kind of like really young talent coming through?
I think for young talent, the advice, we have in the hubs. So I think the amazing thing about gaming today and about opportunities is that, if you want to do now, if you want to compete with Nike, then it's going to be very hard for you now to create a shoe and to push it and move it and sell it to a house in the US. In gaming, especially, for example, if you start in hyper casual, for example, then the amount of effort you need to put into a game where you have public libraries with art. And we see today that some of the partners we have with successful games on the store, they are one man or women or two that took some public libraries, used some art, maybe paid some money for some outsourced art, because today there are plugins and many things, just to get their idea there, and they had the original creation. So I think one thing is focus. There is obviously, we're in an industry where a lot of what people are doing, everyone is looking what the other person is doing and what is successful. But one thing, try to be original, at least to some extent. So yes, it's good to understand what others are doing and what they're doing successful, but always have something of your own DNA and something of your own. If you want something to boom,
or to really explode, it needs to have this uniqueness, or you need to be the first. So it's okay to look at what others are doing, especially if you can execute really well on that and really accurately. But you need to have your own touch. And I think it's good also that you plan a path where you can just succeed with the resources that you have. So if you have limited amount of resources, and you don't have a lot of analytical knowledge, and you don't have economists, and you want to compete with with puzzle RPGs that are paying $15 or $30 per player, and they are making $100 for their kind of big users, then you will not be competitive with usually with a really small unexperienced team. I mean miracles can happen. So excluding miracles, if you methodically want to succeed or to have a chance to succeed, then you need to set a target that is, I wouldn't say realistic, because realistic is too low. So put it optimistic. This is always where we put our bar. Reach optimistic, shoot for the stars later on, but put it in steps that you can achieve, because there is no use in putting some target that is not obtainable, not achievable, and will only get frustration, and will get you saying, okay, it's obvious that I'm going to fail and I'm not going to succeed again, because the bar is still very far away. And I think in gaming, there is everything to do that the bar starts very, very low in terms of how many people, what resources you need to succeed. So if someone has a great idea for the next great hyper casual game, he can find some resources, he can find some art, and it doesn't cost a lot, and he can do it himself. This is how, by the way, in the hubs, every 2 weeks they do a prototype, and we already have like 3 or 4 games from the hubs that we have that are going either on scale or worldwide release, and they're making anything between thousands to tens of thousands and even more. There are not to say, because everyone is then saying about the few that made millions, and this is really rare, but games can actually also make smaller success, which can still push you to the next step and to the next step and to the next step and become bigger. Our first games made $10,000, $15,000, 20, then maybe 30. So don't look for the million in your first game. Great if it comes, but be consistent in your growth, in your expectation, and try to make more than you spend, and then you grow and you can be successful.
Thank you very much for that advice. And I guess we can speak all day long about like different sort of like optimization strategies, user acquisition strategies, monetization strategies, but like we wouldn't have enough time. I do have one question for you though. And this question is more related to the crazy hubs. I mean, by the way, I love the name Crazy Labs, and everything is like crazy. And like I think your slogan is like "Dare to be crazy," and this is really what it's about. I wanted to understand from you what the thinking around the Crazy Hub strategy is. I know you're running one in Cape Town right now. You've run one in India, in Turkey, and in some other locations. What was the inspiration for that, and what is the program delivering for Crazy Labs?
Okay, I'll answer. I'm looking at the comments. Someone asked about Jumanji, so I'll do a quick answer. Whenever you want to work with IP, you need to talk to the IP holder. Getting Jumanji was a big headache. Because we had to fly to Sony, we meet with them for a few times, sign this. It took 2 years just to sign the contract. Usually, after you sign the first contract, afterwards it's easy. It's really complicated. By the way, we decided as a company to do a lot less of licensing. We don't chase it. We have one really great partner, which is Zag Animation with Ladybug, and we're going to release a bubble shooter RPG puzzle in April with them. So there is on one side big potential, but it's for someone with good legal and a lot of patience, and they want minimum guarantee, especially. And by the way, going for small IP is not worth it. So in IP, there are the best IPs, and all the rest are not providing usually value in gaming. So they might be great outside in TV or whatever. So that's just answering that. So now around your question, Hugo, about the Crazy Hub. So hyper casual business is very competitive, so we compete. We have our own, so we are a developer first, and so we know how it is to develop and how hard it is and what are the challenges, and we develop many tools, because there are a lot of publishers that only know how to publish, they don't know how to develop. And then when we start being a publisher as well, we understood that okay, we can compete with, and there are great other competitors like Voodoo and others there, so we can compete with them on the developers, and then try and push them from one side to another. But we felt, as from our heritage and where we came from, that we want to build something. We want to work with people that we actually help them build the capability and bring them onto the hyper casual. So we started in Israel just to see if it makes sense, and we created the first hub and the education program around it, and training, and how to screen candidates, because you want candidates that are available, that can be successful. And in our hubs, basically, you get some allowance, so it allows you not to work, but doesn't make you rich. And we expect of you and to the pace is, it's 3 to 6 months programming, and depending on where and how and what. And then usually you're expected to do something like on average every 2 weeks. It's not even sometimes a prototype, it's a video, and we have automating system where you can upload it and it will go into Facebook and so on. You see the CPI, you can see the success, you can make few videos, and we mentor this, we help you think about ideas and improve and so on. I think for us the geo spread is not random. We wanted to do it in countries where it's a game changer, it's a life changer, even if it's a small success. So we started we did it in Israel. Then we have really strong partner in India with a company called Firescore that later became part of Crazy Labs. We acquired them a few months ago, but we worked with them before for a long while, also on the hub. And we said there are countries, and you can see Turkey as a great example. In Turkey, there is a booming and amazing gaming industry that came out of the necessity of people to succeed, to be excellent. And they started with a few companies with big games that was their Gram Games that got acquired, and then people went out, and then today in Turkey you have an empire of people and companies who really know how to do games from hyper casual to casual. But it took time, and it took evolution and so on. But it was the same. There was a space there for people who said, in gaming, even if we do a small success, we can. It might change our lives, and it might be a life-changing event. So we have people in India that their games are doing, okay in our standard, because the great games are doing millions of downloads, but they're still doing tens of thousands of dollars, or 10 a month, or 20, or whatever, which for them, by the way, is a life changer. And then they can build on that, get more team members, increase the size, and it's a cycle that goes like that. So we're trying to put it in places where the will to succeed and the ability to understand that even with a small game and chasing that can get you a big enough success, that would be something that people will actually want to really chase, would really want to do it, and not say, you know what, let's try it maybe. So we believe in passion, in being really passionate about something. Crazy Labs is not for no reason. We call ourselves the Crazies, and we like other crazy people to work with us. So this is how we came about the Crazy Hubs.
No, that's a brilliant story, and yeah, no, totally. I mean, like, I really appreciate the time that you spent with us already. Thank you very much for being so open and being so honest. I'm hoping that there will be an opportunity for us to work with Crazy Lab or Crazy Hubs next year. And this is a great segue because you're talking about people who are passionate. We've had an incredible, like a really, really like rich, talented group of individuals who've been through the program. Really discovering game development, and they come from like really, really. Sorry. They come from really humble backgrounds, and I want to share some of their stories here with you, and then also get a chance to show you some of the games that's come out from the program so far. So Let's look at the stories of some of our participants.
Gaming is a form of art. I love the music, the sound design.
Like it really relaxes me. So I really love playing games.
I started gaming back in high school when I learned about computers. I got the computer games. I used to play PES. The need to want to create games came after I started programming in Python. That was in 2019.
Since I was growing up, it has always been my mind, medicine, until I just got my first PC, and it's like all that just went out the window. I fell in love with it. I was obsessed with like being behind it, finding how it works. I'll be at the cafe when I don't have internet on my PC that time. So it's like it got to a point where I just saw that this is my real love.
When I was in my final year in secondary school, my teachers were like, "Oh, what do you want to study in school?" So I was like, "I want to do computer science." And they were like, "Why?" So as a young person, I was like, "Oh, so that I can become a programmer, I create games, and I'll make money, be an hacker. I'll just hack somebody's phone, hack somebody's system." So it was very interesting then.
I played a lot of virtual games, games on computer, and one day I just thought to myself, that was as at 2009, that how could I even make this game? But it was just something I thought of like briefly, but I didn't take any action towards it. Then later in life, and I studied with product engineering in the University of Ibadan. So in 300 level, I started learning mobile app itself before I finally concluded on this game development.
There was this time when I was in secondary school, I had a tutor, I had a mentor. And so when I met with him, he kind of introduced me into the world of computing. I think the first thing he taught me how to write an HTML page, and I just totally fell in love. Every night I would just be coding. Got to a point, even my parents knew that this is what I wanted to become. I wanted to become a software engineer, and they always know a lot about me. They will say, "Oh, where is Eniola?" They'll be like, "Oh, it's probably in the room, coding alone."
One big hindrance to gaming in Africa is culture. People believe, especially our parents and grandparents, they believe gaming is a waste of time.
Other threats are poor infrastructure such as electricity, high cost of data,
lack of proper representation. I think a lot of game studios are not properly represented, or they're not representing themselves well.
Not all communities can afford the gadgets to play the game. Not everyone in every community can afford those. So I discovered Game Up Africa Bootcamp, sponsored by Malio and Google, from a friend who referred me through a link after I had told him about my interest in game development.
My favorite experience with the program will have to be the fact that I get to be mentored by people who have over 10 years of experience in game development. Consider Dinas to a Ghanaian who made one of the biggest hits in 2020 last year. Then Liu, who is from America, and Gabi from Singapore as well. So the things that the organizer have done to help individuals learning are, one thing I would first highlight is the fact that they provide data allowance for students. I'll give kudos to Malio for that.
The access to a team or access to a technical support each and every week. It was such a great experience for me because I still can't believe that I'm able to create my own game. I am so grateful to Google. I'm so grateful to Malio for making this opportunity. All of this just formed together to push me to improve upon myself and continue on my gaming journey.
And we're going to transition Wow. Thank you for all the comments. I mean, like, this is testament to the individuals, So, big kudos to them individually for just sticking in, like, just really amazing. And with that, I would definitely love to bring in my panelists. Thanks guys for coming on. So we'll just do some quick intros. We'll start, I guess, like ladies first. We'll start with you, Tara. We'll just do some quick intros and then we'll get into it.
Sounds great. And I just would like to echo congratulations to everyone on your graduation and all of these impressive projects. It's really inspired me. So hello, everyone. My name is Tara Mustafa, and my pronouns are she, her. And I'm the founder and CEO of Coven, which is the first global games industry accelerator for underrepresented talent and particularly marginalized genders. My background is as a game designer. I've been a designer for over 18 years, working at companies like EA, Microsoft, Backbone Entertainment, as well as various indie studios, and had previously co-founded Glow Up Games, which was working on HBO's title Insecure. I have a passion for game design because of the potential of storytelling, and I'm very excited to be here.
Thanks very much, Tara. David?
Hi, everyone. Let me actually just put on my cam. I don't think I can.
Well, we can hear you. You can go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is David Abraham. I am the co-founder and CEO of Kane Games, a gaming company in Ethiopia. We're actually the first gaming studio in Ethiopia, which I think a lot of us share as founders in the circle. We've been building games for a little over four years now. Two of our, I guess, popular games, Kukulu, which is a runner game, and Gabeta, which is a board game, a Mancala type of a board game. And I'm kind of very excited to be here and share what I've learned and learn from you guys as well.
Thanks, David. And Olivia?
Hello, everyone. Congrats for your graduation. Your games are really amazing. You are 100 times the quality of my first games, so I think there is a huge potential for the game dev generation you represent. I'm the founder of Kiro Games. We are the first studio in the Central African region in Cameroon, and we are mostly known because we have done the first African fantasy RPG in the world on PC, and now we have Orion Casual Gems Fighter on Play Store, which is doing great with almost 100,000 downloads. And yeah, I hope I will share with you some of my experience to help you get your true potential.
Thank you. So let's get into it. Let's start by talking about the games. Did you see anything that interests you? What are your thoughts? Maybe we can go back to Tara and start with you first.
Well, I think for me, I enjoyed watching the show reel and being able to review all of the candidates that came through. And what stood out was to be able to create, that kind of content in such a short amount of time without that foundation and being so willing and hungry to learn. And I was absolutely delighted to see more representation that you don't see in sort of the traditional North American, EU markets. And it's so enriching and needed in the global games community. And it's the type of thing that we need to just continue to highlight and bring forward. So, there are definitely ones that I was watching and I was like, I need to spend some time and get into that. And I'd love to play more.
Thank you. And what about you, David?
Yes, I actually saw this. I kept rewatching this video, and I really want to play these games. And one thing that I really hope everyone, while making these games, learn is how easy it is to make games. This is one of the most important things that people need to know. Because 6 years back, when I first made my game, a month before I thought it was impossible. And within a very short amount of time, looking at a couple of tutorials, videos, I understood, wow, this is actually not that difficult. And that's the one thing that I hope everyone who actually went through that program learned. And it's all about, after you actually get this first step, which I'm sure everyone in the program has gone through, once you're over that, now it becomes actually, about building games that are fun, that are actually, like that have great core gameplay and stuff like that. And I'm really happy that everyone who went through the program is able to actually go ahead and build those types of games. They're done with the most difficult part. From here on, it's no longer going to be about the technical stuff, and I'm really happy to see that.
Nah, totally. Nah, you're completely right about that. Olivia, I definitely would love to hear your thoughts.
So yes, I was really positively surprised by the quality of the games. When you think that it has been done in 3 months with people without a lot of Unity experience before, it's really encouraging. What touched me the most was the ambition that I can read between the lines. There are some details when you see gameplay where you know that the game developer behind it really wants this game to be great, like the effects on the text. Um, there are some games like maybe every game was great, but the flight simulator catch me on the ambition that this guy had to make a flight simulation, and I see that it's something already playing. The No Africa was really poetic. The idea that he have to make some particles with the elephants touched me. I saw some potential here, and I was really impressed by the fact that it was almost like some of the really cool game was done with only one person or two, and it was really interesting. And what I will say is, they have made the first step. It is the hardest step, like David said, often to start because people often try to discourage you, like it's too hard, we never make it. So they already trust themselves so far. There is a lot of challenges coming on the way that we'll talk about. But I think with you, Hugo, and the Google team, since they have done this type of quality in 3 months, they're on a good hands to make it.
Thank you. And I think that's actually a very a good way to transition and talk about, so obviously we're going to be very optimistic. It's going to be a very optimistic tone. We're going to focus more on the opportunities. But I think it's also important to kind of like anticipate the pitfalls, right? So, yourself and Dawit, you guys have experience developing gaming companies in Africa. Tara, you had a background as a game designer in some of the biggest companies in the world, some of the biggest gaming companies in the world. And now you are actually running a talent program, really to kind of like help underrepresented individuals. And there's a reason why you're doing that, right? So let's talk about these potential pitfalls, right? Which, based on the experience and how you've been able to navigate your way around the industry, either in Africa or in Europe, you've come across, and you maybe want to bring this to the attention of our aspiring game developers. So we'll probably start with you, Olivier, around some of these challenges that people would come across.
So the challenge. The first one I will share with you guys is the team. I don't know, I will not make a general approach of every country in Africa, but what I can say is that making video games it's easy to make a quick prototype on Unity, but when it comes to make a sustainable game when you want someone to play your game every day for the next 3 months, you will have to be very, very how do you call it? It will be very hard. But the thing is, when you will try to form maybe a more professional team around your game, you will have, how can I put it? I have a little story in French. I try to translate it. The thing is, everyone gets passionate. When you start a game development, everyone got passion. Everyone has spark in their eyes, like, oh my God, we are doing a game. it's a dream come true. But 2 weeks before the release of the game, no one ever, you don't know why you are making this game anymore. Like, oh my God, why am I suffering so much for something? And I will say that something that you will not see a lot in the in the follow your dream narrative out there is that discipline is the only thing that can deliver a game. Discipline, and your team will have to be excellent every day, and it's really hard because when you have someone used to draw something in your game in his life when he wants, when he don't have inspiration, he's not forced to draw anymore. But when you are making a game, you have to draw every day, even when you have bad mood, and that's the hardest part. That's where professionalism appear. So yeah, this is one of the challenge, but there is a solution for that I learned. You have to create a team with an infinite mindset. Uh, Never make the mistake to tell your team that one day you will get this paradise state where you are suffering right now, and there is a place where the suffering or the challenge will stop and you will be in a paradise. This is a huge mistake in leadership that I've done with the first game. You have to tell your team that this is an infinite thing, like football or soccer player, when they win a championship, there is the next championship. You see, when you see Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi or the greatest sport guys in the world, you see that they have this infinite mindset of we always have to improve, but you have to keep it fun, not toxic. And so I will stop there. I think I will have a lot to say. But yeah, the team, build a great team, build a great corporate culture around infinite mindset. We evolved in hero games from a view of, yeah, we'll make a paradise after the first game to life is a Valhalla. And it was really toxic to tell this to my guys. Like, we're in a Valhalla, infinite war. No, we are more trying to build a team with a flow state, the thing that we see ourselves like musicians now. We always have concerts, we all have things to improve. There is not a final concert in life. There is no final game, but we are playing together and it's better. Okay, so let's stop here.
I love your analogies. Welcome back, David. Nice to see you as well. So again, pitfalls. You've come across them. You've figured out your way around them. Please give us some advice.
All right. Well, I mean, when it comes to challenges, I think all of us have had a good share of those. The team was definitely one of the biggest challenges in our case as well. I mean, 5-6 years ago in Ethiopia, since there was no gaming industry, there was no gaming company, it was really difficult to come by game developers. I remember in college, you would find a couple of people who are interested, who love it, as a hobby and stuff like that. But once you actually try to do it, once you go out of college, everyone goes and starts, getting hired, doing something, and suddenly there's really no one who can actually join your company, or join your team to work on a game with you. The first game, like Kulu, for example, it took me almost a year and a half, I was just the solo game developer on the team, and that was the most difficult thing to do. But it's not that they're not there; it's just that you can't find them, and the industry not existing it contributes a lot. And it was a really good thing that there were a lot of art communities who get together, work on artworks, digital art and stuff like that, and some of them were actually gamers, and these types of communities, me being able to actually go to them, go around, show my work, and do all of those things helped me kind of create the first team that would later on become games, and that was the biggest challenge that I had at the beginning. But next, I mean, this may not be, I guess this is going to be unique in every country. In Ethiopia, for example, it's a very closed country. For for you to create games, it's easy, but for you to sell them, for you to actually be able to create a sustainable business around the games that you build, you need other things. In Ethiopia, for example, we need a payment system. We need people to be able to actually pay into the games, which is actually very difficult. This is one of them. I guess there are like 18 African countries where we don't have Google merchant accounts, which I'm actually going to point my fingers at Google here. There are 19 or 18 countries where if you actually make games, you can't sell them in those countries, including Ethiopia. So you have to find other ways to actually do it. That still is one of the biggest challenges. And I'm guessing this is very, it comes in different forms in every country. It could be that people are not really interested in using credit cards to make payments. People are not using, there could be different challenges across the continent or unique to every country. So at the end of the day, to actually make the gaming business successful, you need the whole link to be created and to
it seems like we lost David again. But Tara, we have you. So tell us about your own unique vantage point around the challenges and how to navigate them.
That was such a critical point that we got to do it back.
Oh, cool. You're back.
I'm done. So you guys can take it off from there.
Okay.
Oh, well, I mean, to carry on your point with that, the link, the pipeline really from end to end of thinking all those things, both what you talked on and Olivier, you mentioned are similar challenges to what I've faced. And I think one of the beautiful things about being game developers is that we have an inherent love for games. And so we approach like every challenge as some level that we have to beat or something that we have to find a solution to get over. And it's sort of in our mindset anyway. So whether it's that first team hire and figuring out if they're the right fit to get to that next goal, we're always sort of objective and achievement oriented in being able to deliver that product. And, for me, so through my experience, the reason why I started Code Coven is because I had a lot of experience as a female game developer in a North American market, trying to get ahead in my career and coming across all of these obstacles that seemingly the rest of my colleagues weren't experiencing. And I noticed that it had something to do with possibly my gender and my race. And so, as you all mentioned, like looking for communities of outreach and seeing what their obstacles are. And out of that, I started Code Coven because I was like, okay, this is the way I'm going to fix it. So if I can't just fix the system inside, I'm going to do something on the outside to be able to affect the pipeline. And through that, then I can open career paths for a lot of people. Then we can open up funding, and then we can continue to publish games and bring those to the market. But it's a new challenge every time, because if you asked me 4 years ago, oh, well, I have to talk to a boardroom of North American, so to set the stage, typically about 2% of venture capital funding goes to women of color globally. So to continue to have to go into these boardrooms and have to pitch your ideas, but then they'll still be held to account to the same levels as the standard that has been set, which you could never reach. You have to kind of challenge people on and bring that education to them. And I think that's also the commonality of, we had the privilege of doing the Diverse Game Developers Fund, which was all based on alternative web monetization and understanding that credit card payments or the different payment methods aren't readily available to so many people, and it's something that so many people take for granted worldwide, as well as having things like access to Twitter, when your world leaders can just take it away and a click of their fingers. And for me, it's the positive spin on that is that it's a wonderful opportunity to educate people on your cultural sphere and present to them the challenges that you'll find, because sometimes they just don't understand and they want to work with you to be able to there's an opportunity for something to fix, and to improve on. So that's been my experience through trying to find the positive light through Code Coven and the work that I've been doing.
Thank you very much, guys, for sharing. And I decided to kind of like loop in the video because, Tara, you talked about diversity. And this is obviously something that, we all have our unique perspectives, we all have our unique challenges. And you also talked about, sort of like having a gamer mindset. And sometimes the way we approach these design choices is based on our unique position. So my ambition has always been around how do we bring Africa into the world of gaming by introducing something that is unconventional. And by unconventional, it's actually for us, our realities, but for the rest of the world, it's like a slightly different take, a slightly different approach. And this is shown in some of the games that the guys have come up with, because these are their own unique individual identities that they are representing through these games. So I want to go back to you, Olivier, and really talk about. I want us to have a conversation around, what is the market opportunity? Like we are navigating this industry in a very non-traditional, we're swimming upstream essentially, right? One of our speakers talked about wanting to do medicine, kind of like existing stereotypes. But irrespective of all of these societal, cultural, and environmental challenges, we still push ahead. And there's a reason why we do that. So I wanted to kind of like touch on what are those opportunities that is driving the motivation for you and your team to keep doing what you do. Olivia, I think you're mute.
Yeah, I was searching the right number. So why do we keep pushing the market in Africa? There is a promised land for the gaming market in Africa. The vision we have at Kiro, and I think that the vision is shared by a lot of pioneers right now. If we go in numbers, let's start by the passion. We are gamers. We want to make games that will make people feel good. At certain point, I think this is the first thing, and we think Africa has a huge, I have the word in French. We have something that we can bring on the creation table of the world, and we have to fight for that, because today my son is in the studio and he's playing my game and he's shouting the power name of the hero, and it's something. When I didn't have a kid and about this thing about representation, I was pitching it like, intellectually, like the kids in Africa have to get heroes that look like them. It was something intellectual. But now that I am a dad and I see my son watching the hero I've created and watching the heroes other I've created, and I see how it affects his mindset, how it creates this little spark of you too can be great. You are not the purple, or you are not a descendant of only people suffering since 500 years. You have something great in you, because that's about it. That's about changing this narrative for ourselves. So this is why we are fighting for this gaming industry to be successful, but successful with African creators, not only consumers. Now, in terms of numbers, well, we have made a study with Huawei. You know that there is a lot of mobile money API right now, so there is more and more a way to monetize game with mobile money in Africa, and not only Google merchants. And we have made a study with Huawei where we think in 2013, 100 million young African will pay 0.27 USD per week in a game, in-app purchase. So it will make like 1.3 billion USD of market cash in gaming in Africa. It can be very low if you are Western studios watching this, but for us in Africa, getting 1.3 billion USD in cash somewhere as the top 20 studios in Africa will be huge. Because I think from the vision I have, I hope that if we succeed as gaming studio to get huge amount of money because we make games that a lot of people do, we have the duty to do more than entertain and to start to invest in something else. You see, I have this huge vision where I see video game studio becoming more like Tencent in China. You see, they started with gaming company, but now they're investing in energy, etc., etc. Because I think the financial institution of Africa don't understand the stakes, and we, the geek, we, the entrepreneur, have to take on the investment challenge on the next generation. You see, when you go see these new developers, you know that somehow if Malio and Kiro were already million maker studio, we will fund this guy because we know what we see that other can't. So yeah, I think it's a legacy we are building for the next generation beyond the game. It's a symbol.
Excellent. I really like that. We are building the foundation for what is to come. And hopefully, as the next generation comes in, they find it a lot easier because the infrastructure is already in place. I'm wondering, David, again, kind of like your own perspective on this conversation around what is the opportunity? What are you guys playing for? What is the driver? What is motivating you to keep pushing?
Right. I think Olivier said a lot of the things that do inspire us, and to add to those, so we're a lot of things. A gaming team has like a lot of people working on building the game. So you have artists who love to work on art, crafts people, right? Game developers, the same thing, and you have entrepreneurs. And all of this also can be within one person, right? As artists and craftspeople and as engineers, we love building games, and more so, we love it that we are Africans who are actually building games. It's a wonderful thing to be able to actually build something that's as good as anything in the world, and see that it actually came from you and your country and your continent. That's something valuable, especially for Africa, because a lot of the narrative is that Africa is not that great. It's a continent where not a lot of talent can come from there, not a lot of beauty and amazing artwork, and that is not true. And we want to be able to actually show the world that that's not true, because it's important that more than themselves, that we ourselves believe that we are actually great and we're capable of achieving these types of great things. And the more amazing things that come out of Ethiopia and Africa, the more Ethiopians and Africans can believe in themselves. This actually goes back to a story where, when I was first making Hulu, the first person I showed it to was my cousin, and it was a very early stage game, and I showed it to him, and he said, "This looks like it was made in Ethiopia." That was his way of telling me it sucks, and that's not a good way to tell me that it's not that good, right? But there is this kind of mentality that kids especially have when they're from Africa, that this actually is not the greatest thing, comes from elsewhere, right? And it took me a lot of iterations for the game to make him say that, okay, this actually looks really good. It looks like it was not made from here, right? And I want to get rid of that mentality from the beginning. I don't want kids to say, this looks bad, therefore it's from Africa. I want them to say, wow, this beautiful thing is from Africa, right? So that is our duty, I guess, and responsibility as craftspeople, to be able to represent ourselves and where we come from. Did I cut off again?
No. Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So as entrepreneurs, we have a bigger responsibility, and that is the economic future of the continent. And as young people, we can actually, we have the power to change a lot of things. Africa is the youngest continent in the world, right? We have the youngest craftspeople and also the youngest users of the contents that we create, which makes us a really great market for the future of gaming. And as entrepreneurs, we see that. If we didn't see it, we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. I would do games as a hobby, but I wouldn't be doing it full time as a startup, and then actually giving everything that I have, my energy, my money, and my everything to actually building it, right? That's I do that because there's an actual possibility there, and once that works, it will actually create this amazing economically thriving industry that can sustain a lot of other things in the continent. We're a bit too late on many things as a continent. We're late on the industrialization. I highly doubt we'll be able to actually produce smartphones and sell it elsewhere. But games, that's a whole different topic, right? If you want to create a game that's the most amazing game in the world, all you need is your creativity and computer and internet, right? And it actually adds to it that games are increasingly more easier to build. It was not this easy to build games 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Every game, a lot of technology is coming, free and proprietary technology that allows you to create this powerful experiences, and you can use that with the combined. I mean, it's 2 billion people. We have 1.2 billion brains in Africa that can actually create something that can sustain the economy of the continent. So that is the entrepreneurial responsibility that we have. So those two things are, I would say, the two things driving our efforts.
Excellent, excellent. I very much like your point on sort of like standardization and like sort of like minimum quality, and having some kind of like system. I think we all need to get together at some point to have a conversation around how do we design this kind of like framework for creating a minimum standard for content coming through the continent. So this is definitely worth exploring. But Tara, I also want to see, because obviously you are in the other part of the world, you're in London, and Coven is also based in London and does most of its operation within Europe. But obviously reaching out to people all around the world. Maybe before you talk about the opportunities that you're playing for, talk a little bit more about what Code Coven does, from a practical standpoint. The types of people that come up to Code Coven, what your programs are focused on, who you support, who you partner with, so we can get a little bit more rich insights in terms of how you can, what opportunities are available.
Sure, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. So Code Coven is a very I didn't even know how to speak about it. See, this is how well I do it. The pitch of my own company. We have 3 different facets, and the first one is our pillar around an academy, and we offer courses that are intro to game making, where we teach people who, similarly to your endeavors, Hugo. Our classes are only 13 people and global, and they're teaching people how to develop using a game engine, whether it's Unreal or Unity, and come around that design thinking, being able to work in teams and create small projects for their portfolio and see if game design and development is a path forward in their career. And then we have another pillar, which is an accelerator. So every summer, we've been lucky enough to partner with Facebook Gaming in the past, but we offer an accelerator program where we get together a group of 20 or so students, put them into teams. They've never met each other before, and we pay a stipend for them to develop game over the course of the summer. And we provide a lot of mentorship from industry leaders around the world. And then we also try and provide another accelerator, which is focused on indie game development studios. And we've been lucky to partner with the IGDA Foundation as well as Wings Fund through multiple different accelerators to provide funding for indie game developers to get their games or their prototypes over that finish line and give them visibility to publishers and investors to help continue their growth and development. And then lastly, we have a bit of a teaching studio where we work with indie studios by providing them with paid interns to be able to help get their development over the line, but also give the interns the experience, particularly helping people who have sort of to balance caretaking at home, but still want to keep their talents fresh. So that's Code Coven in a nutshell. We've got lots of exciting programming coming up, but our endeavor is to keep breaking down these obstacles and these glass ceilings in order for there to be marked progression and enable the change in the landscape that you all are talking about. Because we haven't been able to work with teams in Africa that much. We were very, very lucky to work with Tiny Baby Crown as part of our summer program in South Africa, as well as teams in Nigeria and Kenya, and work with some people in India and Pakistan, as well as in South America, Colombia and Brazil. But that's what we're trying to do. You know, it's Code Coven. We want to give you those foundation, those tools that you were talking about, but enable developers to bring their own content and enrich, you know, the gaming landscape through the content that they provide, rather than telling them, oh, you need to make this game, which is the cookie cutter of every single game that we've already seen out there. So yeah, and you know, just one note, I wanted to give you a shout out, Olivier, because in 2017, I went to a conference in England, in London, at the V&A, Victoria and Albert Museum, called Parallel Worlds. And I saw Olivier speak. And it was just when Code Coven was a seed in my mind. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. And it was so inspirational. I followed Olivier on Twitter ever since. So to be on a panel right now with you is a very humbling experience.
That is really cool. Well done, Olivier. Inspiring people since 19. That's really cool. So let's kind of like do a wrap as a segue to the next session. I wanted to kind of like get your, I guess, like your final words, right? Your parting words. You know, like we obviously see this huge opportunity for gaming within the continent. We have this young aspirational talents that are coming through. And you guys are the gatekeepers, or at least like the ones who are, you know, who are like, you know, who've been providing the guard, right? So as they're coming through, what is your, you're not quite veterans just yet, because all of you are still very young, or all of us are still very young, at least we'll try to be very young. But what is your advice as they come through? You know, what do you want them to go away with? This is obviously the 16th of December. I'm sure most of your studios will be shutting down in the next couple of days. You know, like it's going to be a reflective moment over the next couple of 2 weeks into the new year. And then, like your analogy, Olivier, about like, you know, the football game, you know, the season is over. We've gotten the point, you know, we won the trophy, but, you know, we're coming back next year and we have to be fresh, ready to go. So what is the advice from you? So start with you, Olivier.
So my main advice already talk about the team. What I can share with you is also that, how I can put it? You have to be patient with yourself, be nice with yourself. As a gaming founders, you will get a lot of no on your way. You will get a lot of no from investors, from partners, and even from people you admire. For example, even me, you can write me someday about your great games, and because I'm busy, because I know I can tell you this will not work. But there is something I always say to young entrepreneur: you are the only one who can fill your car. You are the only one. So even if Bill Gates tell you your thing will not work, never take it as condemnation. Always focus on what you can improve. What is the true path beyond the sadness you will feel to improve? And people are just human. No one know everything, you see. And there is a book, the book of the memoir of the founder of Nike. At the end of the book, he says something to other young entrepreneurs like, "You will always be outgunned." I love this picture. Like being an entrepreneur is like being the guy with only a gun with 2 bullets fighting against people in tank. You see, it's always like that. And yeah, be nice to yourself, be passionate with yourself. Try to surround yourself with great teams, people who want things to work. Be loyal to your team. And in terms of gaming practical advice, try to force your developer team to always make conception before going to code. I keep fighting on it until today because people are rushing on the Visual Studio team, and you lose time because they don't conceptualize enough. Try to conceptualize a lot before going and type only one coding line, please. It will save you a lot of time. And also, try to make your developers and artists talk to the players. When you make a game, let's try to force them to go and make like 3 days going and answer the commentaries, the reviews. They have to read it. They have to discuss with the player and you have to know that it's a fight in every tech company, even in Microsoft. It's always hard to make developers become empathic to the final users, and in gaming, this is something you have to force them a little bit at the beginning and the start to see the good points. So these are my advice for you.
Excellent, thank you. And what about you, David? What pattern advice would you give to our aspiring game developers?
All right. And again, Madiba said it all, but let me add to it. So as game developers, and this is technically as craftspeople, if you want to be really good at building games, what I recommend is you go ahead, you look at a mobile game that you really love, you admire, and try to copy it bit by bit, like mechanics by mechanics. Learn how to build it. Because trying to make a game and trying to make a game fun are two entirely different challenges. Being able to build a game has nothing to do with making it fun. So if you want to be very good technically, remove that creative challenge. Go and find a game that you really love, because the challenge is already done, and the challenge is for you to copy it. And the more you do that, and as many times you can do it, you'll actually develop a lot of skills to become a good game developer. On building your own games and putting them out in the market, the best thing that you can do is try to go there early. Try to show people early. Do not be your own judge. You have no idea. Try to launch as early as possible. Take a few time, like a few weeks to a month, to create a prototype, the basic core gameplay, and put it in front of people. If it's fun, it's fun. They'll like it. The visuals would come on later, right? The game needs to be fun first. Otherwise, it's an animation movie or something. If it's a game, it needs to be fun, and the mechanics needs to be fun. So create that. Forget about the visuals. Take it somewhere. Let your friends play it. See if it's fun. If it is, you go ahead and you actually start building it up, and making iterations to make it beautiful. If it's not, you move on to the next core mechanics. So those are the two advices I'd give.
Excellent. And Tara, you have the final floor.
Oh dear, I have to say something very impactful. No, my big takeaway would be collaboration. Especially when you're on, the cusp of revolutionizing a gaming landscape, being able to collaborate and knowledge to share is hugely powerful. I mean, just like, you're doing, and you're leading the way here, Hugo, and then being able to talk again with Olivier and Dawit has been fantastic. But this collaboration and knowledge share is critical in continuing the conversation to continue. And on top of that, as you're sharing this knowledge, don't be afraid that somebody else is going to steal your idea. There are so many knockoffs and things, ideas that have been recreated. It's what you bring to the table and how you execute on it that will set you apart from everybody else. So don't be worried about that. And then I would say, also know what the value of your knowledge is. You're a scarce and valuable resource in this industry where people are wanting to learn from you and understand what it means to be a game developer in Africa. That is very, very powerful, knowledge. So you are the experts, and don't undermine or undervalue just what that means. And congratulations.
Thank you. What a wonderful note to end the panel discussion. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate having you here. It's been an honor. You guys have shared a lot of wisdom, and I hope I've learned myself. But we are all learners. We all continue to learn, and I'm sure our audiences have been have benefited significantly from your contribution. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
On to the next section. So now we get to talk about the Game of Africa Awards. Now, obviously, for those of you who don't know, Game of Africa started back in August. It was a program designed around training, self-paced, project-based learning. And over the first 3 months of the program, about 9 weeks actually, we went through a learning phase where people were doing self-paced learning on their own and working on projects, and they were getting feedback from the technical team. After that period, and in between all of that, we had several program level events or program based events where we had guest speakers, we did master classes, we even did creative events internally, and it was so much fun. We had a very strong active community online, and we all connected with one another. After the learning phase, we went into the mentoring phase where we were honored and privileged to have mentors from all over the world come in and share their knowledge and expertise around, like the game development process. So we had people with pre-production experience, people with production experience, and people with post-production experience. And this was all very integral in designing our first game concepts. So each individual who went through the program put together a personal presentation and pitched a game idea. And then we put everyone who had a game idea into groups called cells. And within those cells, they decided on if they wanted to work on a singular project, or they wanted to work on individual project, or they wanted to work on multiple individual projects within each cell. Each cell, essentially, you can think of each cell as a family. They had a cell lead who was responsible for managing communications and conversations within the cell. So organizing meetings, coordinating sessions with mentors, communicating with the Game of Africa team. They were just doing the job of I guess like you can think of them as like a project lead. They were doing that work and ensuring that their cell was meeting the objectives set by the Game of Africa team. Obviously, within that cell are cell members, and cell members are also participants. And they obviously were working towards, understanding, learning, and making contributions to their cells. So we all operated in individual cells, and that came up with, we came up with 9 different cells. So we had 9 different families. And our first category today is for best cell. So in thinking about the best cell, we were looking for a cell that was able to achieve the objectives set out by the Game of Africa team. And our objectives were very clear. We wanted the cells to work as a team, so to get everybody together. So that was the first objective. Secondly is that they had to decide on game projects to work on and communicate that information to the team. And then the last objective was that they were meant to deliver on that game project. Now, a link was sent out for nomination. So we wanted the cells to actually self-nominate. So any cell member could nominate their cell for this category. And everyone who got nominated got actually, essentially is visible here. So we had 9 cells, and of those 9 cells, cell 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, self-nominated. The only cell I'm guessing who didn't self-nominate was cell 3. Not too sure why, but anyway. And the winner of this category is the cell who best achieved this objective of organizing, communicating, and delivering on game projects for their cell. And our winner is cell 1. I guess we don't have a virtual hooray, but I'm doing the clap. So cell 1, great team, worked very well, and really delivered on multiple gaming projects. So cell 1 actually delivered the most number of projects for the final submission, which was 4 projects. So congratulations to cell 1, and kudos on working really hard. The next category is the best cell lead. So this obviously is a nice little transition from the best cell. The best cell lead, again, we opened nominations up for the best cell lead category, and the requirement for the nomination was that somebody within the cell had to nominate their cell lead. So the cell lead could not self-nominate. Somebody within the cell had to nominate the cell lead for this category. And we received multiple nominations for most of the cells, but we couldn't take everybody on. So we did go ahead and shortlist. Actually, we did take everybody on. So this is essentially all 8 again were shortlisted for the best cell lead category, aside from cell 3. And the best cell lead was chosen based on the individual. So this is now more around the individual, right? So this is demonstrating incredible leadership skills, organizing their cell members. Each cell had around 9 members. So it was 9 members per cell. Some of them had 10 members per cell. And their job was essentially to coordinate. They coordinated their cell members using multiple platforms, obviously using WhatsApp, using Discord, using emails, organizing meetings on Google Meet, and really, and also in addition to that, they were also responsible for connecting with the mentors and organizing the meetings with the mentors and ensuring that their cell members were at those meetings on time. So it was a lot of work. And on top of that, they also had to obviously work on individual projects. So we received nominations for these 8 individuals, really strong nominations. The individual who we selected as the winner, because that decision was made by the Game of Africa team, is someone who was able to do all of the items mentioned. So, organizing the cell members, communicating with the Game of Africa team, working with the mentors to organize sessions and ensuring that those sessions are optimal in terms of participation, communicating back to the cell members around the outcome of those meetings, because obviously we recognize the fact that not everyone could be at those meetings, but they were doing an incredible job in communicating this back. And in addition to that, also working on a project with one other person. Our winner for this category is Michelle Omar from Cell 1. Congratulations, Michelle. Drum roll. Congrats. This is really, so in selecting her, we really looked at the fact that she was the cell lead for Cell 1, and Cell 1 delivered on 4 projects, and she herself was actually the developer for her own project from Cell 1. So not only was she managing the team, she was actually also executing and delivering on a project herself. So congrats to you on this award. Our next category is the best female category. So this is now looking overall at the program and identifying all of the females within the program and putting them into a singular class. The selection for this was again based on either self-nomination or nomination from somebody else. And then aside from the nomination, we actually did go to a public vote. So voting was done by all cell participants. So this is more a consensus vote based on the participants who voted. Our nominees for this category are Dorothy, who is from Cell 4, working on the No Africa project. We have Janet from Cell 7. We have Jezebel from Cell 3, and Tochi from Cell 2, and Bolu from Cell 1. And the winner for this category is Bolu from Cell 1. Congrats, Bolu. Congrats on being awarded the best female for Game of Africa 2021. The category next is just following on from that is the best male category. And here we have our finalists. So following on from the best female category, very similar self-nomination or nomination from other members. And then obviously we went into public voting. The finalists are Oluwafemi, Eniola, Joseph, Sydney, and Tolulokwe. And the winner is Tolulokwe from Cell 4. Congrats, Tolu. So the next category is best peer support. In designing Game Up Africa, we designed the content around self-paced and project-based learning. What that meant is that individuals were essentially going and consuming a curated online content. When they had challenges, one of the things that we designed into the program was to encourage other members of the community to try and help people out because they were all going through the same or similar challenges, and some people had already figured it out. So we were encouraging everybody else to kind of like provide community support to the community. So that obviously is using the learning management system where we have a Q&A function and using Discord or using WhatsApp. And the nominees for this category are the individuals who have demonstrated the highest likelihood of providing support to other members of the community. Our finalists are Martin, Ifeanyichukwu, Richard, Israel, and Abdullahi. Our winner is Richard. Congratulations, Richard, from Cell 9. And our final, or I think this is our penultimate category, is the most active individual. We define active based on engagement, mostly around the events organized within the program. I think I mentioned at the very start of this that Game Up Africa had over 100 events organized across the 5 months, different levels of events, both at cell level, at HQ level. And some of those events were like guest speaker series, Creative Tuesday events. We had masterclasses, quite a variety. And all of the events, or most of the events, were open to all the participants. This category is really trying to recognize the individuals who are most active within these events. And our finalists are Tochi, Abdullahi, Adebayo, Polycap, and Michelle, and Michael. And the voting for this was based on public votes again. And our winner is Tochi. Congratulations. And then this is our final category, best game. And this is the most important one, I must say. So we've had, through the program, we received, we had 13 different gaming projects. We were actually very impressed with the level of commitment from all the teams. So the way we ended up with the project essentially is that every individual put forward a gaming idea that they wanted to work on. We put the individuals within the 9 cells, and then we got the cells to come together to have a conversation internally around what game idea they wanted to work on. So did they want to work on like 10 different game ideas? Did they want to work on one? And they went through a voting system. They went through a democratic system of making decisions as a collective on what they wanted to go forth with. At the end of the first week of mentoring, we received 14 game ideas that the teams wanted to work on. 6 weeks later, we received a total of 13 final games that had gone through multiple stages of iterations and are ready to be published on the App Store. This is an incredible feat. I mean, like, this is like close to 95% completion. So congratulations to every single one of you for being steadfast, digging in and really just going through the process of developing these games. All our finalist games actually qualify for this category. And this category will be going out to a public vote. So if you go to www.maliya.com/blog, hopefully we should have a blog post out there where you can vote. You can vote for your favorite game. So you would have an opportunity to watch specific gameplay videos for each of the games. You would also have an opportunity to download the games if you wish and play them on your devices. And then finally, you can decide on what game you want to vote for. Voting should open today and then would close by the 23rd. So there's quite a bit of time for every single one of the teams to try and get as much votes as possible. And we would communicate via, we'll make it public and make it official how many votes each team receives. So congratulations to everyone, and thank you very much. Now I would like to welcome John Kumani, Program Manager from Google, for the final closing remarks.
Thank you, Hugo, for having me, for inviting me. I know we're way over time. Time does fly when you're having fun, but I hope that the content and the different sessions that we've had have been useful and exciting for everyone. Just to quickly introduce myself, I am part of the developer ecosystem team at Google. My team works with developers like yourselves who are interested in Google's developer technologies. It's been an absolute pleasure for us as a team, and I'm speaking on behalf of the 30 plus Googlers who have been involved in this program in one way or another. It's been an absolute pleasure for us to participate and to contribute in one way or another. The team were very keen on building vibrant ecosystems of developers, and we've been investing a lot in building the tech ecosystem in our region. So it's exciting for us to see the developers that we work with, like yourselves, continue to build amazing applications, leveraging our platforms and tools in this process. And it's an honor for us to work with you throughout this journey. And so for the developers who have gone through the bootcamp for the last 5 months, congrats. I know it's been intense. The content has been a lot. As Hugo mentioned at the beginning, we had over 100 different sessions, right? Workshops, tech talks, and that's excluding the mentor sessions that you've had with the mentors who have been part of the program as well. And so this has been an amazing experience for all of us. I cannot wait to see the applications that you bring to the Play Store. We've seen the showreel. So these ideas are great to see, very unique ideas. I'm particularly impressed by the team effort that went into building these applications. I would encourage you to keep building together and to make sure that you're pulling together and learning from each other as you go along. So once again, thank you for your participation and being part of this amazing journey. Congrats to everyone who made it to the very end. And we're really, really looking forward to working together on the next iteration of this bootcamp. As we wrap up, would love your feedback on this graduation ceremony. There's a link that's been shared and is available for you on YouTube. Please go ahead and leave your feedback. Your feedback will help us improve and ensure that future classes are as impactful as is possible. So once again, thank you and happy holidays, everyone. Back to you, Hugo. I think you're on mute.
Thank you very much, John. It's been a real honor and pleasure working with you guys and delivering this program. Bless. Good way to wrap up the year. So, like for everyone who hasn't submitted their AAB just yet, please try and do that so we can get the games on the App Store to obviously try and maximize your installs. We'll also drop a link. So if you want to see, if you will drop a link on the chat very soon, if you want to see the videos, we would also distribute that via email to everyone in the community. So you can actually watch the short film as well as watch the videos about the show reel. So you would get full access to that. And we look forward to doing more stuff with you guys in the coming year. But thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.